God said, don't look for a job. And in that one command is the most radical truth you'll ever hear. Stop searching outside for what you haven't first claimed within. The world you see is but a shadow cast by the light of your inner assumptions. You are not here to chase opportunities. You are here to awaken to the fact that you are the source of all that appears. Your imagination is God, and your assumption is the only law. When you seek a job, you affirm that you are unemployed. But when you close your eyes and dare to feel the reality of already being chosen, wanted, useful, and fulfilled, you move creation itself. You don't need a job. You need a vision so alive within you that the world has no choice but to reflect it. God is not asking you to be idle. He's commanding you to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let the world rearrange itself to match the power of your inner world. God is your own wonder of the human imagination. When you hear the words, God said, don't look for a job, understand first that this message is not coming from a voice in the sky, nor from a deity carved in stone or painted on cathedral walls. This command is born from the deepest part of your being, from the God within you, which is your own wonderful human imagination. You are not separate from the Creator. You are the Creator dreaming in flesh. You were not placed here to search for scraps in a world you meant to rule. You were not born to plead with life. You were born to command it. And you do not command life through effort or anxiety or external striving. You command it through assumption, through imagining boldly and feeling deeply what is already yours in spirit. The imagination that lives in you is not some playful tool or abstract concept. It is God Himself. It is the one power. And until you recognize this, you will continue to seek what you already possess. Every time you search for a job, you are telling the world and yourself, I lack. But the truth is, you do not lack. You only imagine that you do. And because imagination creates reality, your outer world reflects the poverty of that inner assumption. Let's us go even deeper. The command, don't look for a job, is not a rejection of work, purpose, or activity. It is a rejection of the idea that your life must be validated by the approval of others, by hiring managers, by systems outside of you. You don't need to be chosen. You were already chosen the moment you dared to imagine something greater. The divine spark within you does not respond to applications. It responds to imagination. It is not moved by your resume. It is moved by your assumption of being who you wish to be. This is not passive spirituality. This is the most active form of creation. For in stillness, when you see yourself already working in your desired field, already creating, already being compensated richly for what you love, you begin to tune your vibration to the frequency of that reality, and the world, like clay in the hands of the potter, begins to mold itself around your belief. This is not mysticism for mysticism's sake. This is law. It works as surely as gravity. So when I say God said don't look for a job, I am telling you, don't seek the form, become the substance. Don't search for validation, realize your value. Don't beg for a position, embody the position. And how do you do this? Through the sacred act of imagination. Assume it, live from it. Let the feeling of already being employed, already thriving, already free, saturate your being so thoroughly that the outer world must bow before your inner world. You are not a beggar in the kingdom. You are the king, the queen, the architect, the dreamer. Stop looking, start imagining. That's where God begins. Desire is a divine whisper. Already answered. Desire is not a random feeling, not a product of need or lack. It is a whisper from the divine within you. When God says, don't look for a job, He is reminding you that what you desire is already yours. The moment you feel it, your desire is not something to chase. It is something to accept as already fulfilled. The moment the thought arises in you, I want meaningful work, or I want to be financially secure, or I want to create freely, that very moment, the reality of that desire is born in the unseen. It is done, finished. The seed is planted in consciousness, and all that remains is for you to nourish it with assumption, with faith, with feeling, until it blooms into form. But when you rush out in fear, looking frantically for a job, knocking on doors, begging the world to approve you, you uproot that seed. You doubt the law. You treat your desire as if it is unmet, as if it still needs something outside to bring it to life. But the truth is, your desire has already been answered in the spiritual realm. All you must do is claim it in the silence of your own heart. Every desire you feel deeply and sincerely is a divine blueprint given to you alone. It is not your duty to force it into being. It is your duty to dwell in the state of its fulfillment. And you do this not through outer effort, but through inner knowing. You close your eyes and dwell in the scene that implies your desire is already true. You feel yourself being congratulated. You see yourself walking with confidence, grateful, accomplished. You hear the sounds of your success, taste the joy of your financial freedom, sense the peace of creative expression, and in that silent, unseen place, the answer to your desire lives and moves and breathes long before the world ever sees it. To look for a job is to say, I do not yet have. But to assume your desire is fulfilled is to live by the truth that what you seek is already seeking you, and that what you want has already been given. The desire itself is the evidence of its own fulfillment. God never teases his children with empty longings. He speaks through desire, and he speaks clearly, and his message is always the same. It is done. The moment you feel a deep longing to contribute, to be useful, to thrive, that is God telling you this is already yours. Now, feel it, walk in it, live from it. So stop measuring the gap between where you are and where you want to be. There is no gap, only your belief in one. The bridge of events will unfold, not by your worry, but by your faith. Do not pray for the desire. Thank God it is fulfilled. Live in the end. Accept the whisper of desire as a divine proclamation that the answer has already been spoken. And in that confidence, let go of seeking. Assume the wish fulfilled and watch the world conform live from the end, not toward it. When God said, don't look for a job, he wasn't calling you to inactivity. He was calling you to identity. He wasn't saying do nothing, but be something. Not eventually, not later. Now, the world has taught you to strive, to hustle, to move toward your goals as if they live far ahead of you. But spiritual law tells you something very different. You are not meant to chase the end. You are meant to live from it. To live from the end is to embody in this very moment the state of consciousness that assumes the desire is already fulfilled. It is not about pretending nor faking confidence. It is about becoming the version of yourself who already has what you seek. You don't walk towards success. You walk as success. You don't apply for positions hoping someone will give you purpose. You carry within you the consciousness of one who is already employed, already useful, already abundant, and the world must mirror it. The moment you begin to imagine from the end, everything begins to change. Feel the texture of the desk you sit at in your ideal role. Hear the praise of clients, the laughter of co-workers, the click of your shoes walking into the office or studio you own. Smell the coffee on your desk. Feel the gratitude in your chest, the weight lifted from your shoulders. This is what it means to live from the end. You occupy the state and you let the world catch up to the reality you've already assumed within. You don't look around for proof, you become the proof. You don't ask for confirmation, you are the confirmation. To live from the end is to act as though nothing is missing, because in truth, nothing is. The version of you who has already achieved the desire is just a shift in consciousness away. You don't get there by effort. You get there by belief. The world will always reflect the state you occupy. So if you occupy the state of being unemployed, of not being enough, of searching, you will continue to experience that cycle. But if you dare to shift internally and say, I already am who I wish to be, then reality begins to reorganize itself to match your new self-concept. People, opportunities, events, and even so-called coincidences will begin to emerge, not because you worked harder, but because you believed differently. You were not created to move toward your future. You were created to move from it. And that future is not somewhere out there. It lives within you now. So stop preparing for the day you'll get the job, or the call, or the chance. Walk as though it already happened. Sleep tonight in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let your imagination be your transportation. God doesn't dwell in potential. He dwells in completion. And if he lives in you, then completion is not a goal. It's a place you live from, not someday, but now. The world is pushed out. When God said, don't look for a job, he was pulling back the curtain on one of the most profound truths of life. The outer world is a mirror, a projection, a perfect echo of your inner state of being. Nothing happens outside of you that did not first happen within you. The world is not a separate entity with power over your fate. It is yourself pushed out. Every person you meet, every opportunity or closed door, every yes or no you receive from the world is nothing more than the reflection of the beliefs, assumptions, and feelings you carry deep within. When you look for a job from a place of fear, lack, or desperation, you attract experiences that reinforce those states. But when you stop looking and start knowing, when you shift into the consciousness of one who is already employed, already empowered, already fulfilled, the world begins to reflect that new identity. It cannot do otherwise. It is not that the world has to be convinced. It is that you must be convinced, for the world only has one instruction: reflect what you are. This is the mystery of life. So few understand. You are not here to battle with circumstances or beg from systems. You are here to awaken to your true power, the divine imagination within, and to see that nothing comes into your life uninvited by your own state of consciousness. You don't change the world by pushing on it. You don't change your life by effort alone. You change your world by changing your assumptions about yourself and life. If you see the world as a place of scarcity, competition, or rejection, you will meet those very faces again and again, not because they are true, but because you keep projecting them. But if you dare to assume that life is abundant, receptive, and full of unseen support, your experience will begin to take on those qualities. The mirror will not crack. The reflection will shift because you have shifted. So when God says, don't look for a job, he is calling you to stop seeking proof from the mirror. You would never try to shape the reflection. You'd shape your own face. Yet when it comes to life, we try to fix everything out there, forgetting that out there is only showing us who we are in here. Do you feel unwanted? The world will show you doors closed. Do you feel anxious? The world will deliver delays. But if you walk in the knowing that you are needed, that your work matters, that your presence has value, the world will rise up to meet that belief. It's not magic, it's law. The world is yourself, wearing many masks. And here is the beautiful truth. You are not a victim of the reflection. You are the source. The creative power of the universe does not live in the sky. It lives in your awareness, in your thoughts, in your ability to feel something real before it appears. And when you persist in a new inner state, when you refuse to entertain doubt, when you walk as though your dream is already fact, the mirror cannot help but show you a new world. This is why you must stop looking for the job out there, because every time you search the outer world for proof, you give your power away. You forget that the outer is only echoing the inner. Instead, go within. Shut the door to appearances. Commune with your imagination. Live in the end and let the reflection follow the change in cause. You are not waiting for a company to say yes. You are not at the mercy of the economy, location, or even your qualifications. You are not small, and life is not separate from you. The entire world is a canvas stretched across the frame of your inner state. Paint wisely, speak boldly, assume greatly. The world will conform. It must, for it has no power of its own, only yours. So hear this again with new ears. God said, don't look for a job because you were never meant to look, you were meant to know. Know who you are, and the world will know it too. As within, so without. The world is yourself, pushed out. Let that truth set you free. You are the operant power. When God said, don't look for a job, he wasn't trying to withhold opportunity. He was reminding you that you are the operant power. There is no power outside of you arranging your destiny, no fate deciding whether or not you are worthy of success. There is no external force dictating who gets ahead and who is left behind. Everything flows from consciousness, and you are the one who must assume the responsibility of choosing, believing, and persisting in the assumption of your fulfilled desire. You are not waiting on God. God is waiting on you, waiting for you to stop acting like a beggar in your own kingdom, waiting for you to stop reacting to the world and start commanding it from within. The operant power doesn't wait for signs. It moves as if the sign has already been given. It doesn't look for approval. It assumes approval was never in question. This is the divine gift, and it has been yours from the beginning. The ability to create your world by assuming the state you wish to experience and living from it until it hardens into fact. Too often, we are trained to believe in effort more than in identity, in hustle more than in consciousness. We're taught to grind, apply, repeat, follow up, and hope someone out there sees our value. But spiritual law operates on a different frequency. The power is not in what you do, it's in what you are. And what you are is determined by what you assume yourself to be. If you assume you're overlooked, you'll be overlooked. You assume you're lacking, you'll meet more lack. But if you shift, truly shift, and begin to walk, speak, and breathe as someone already chosen, already empowered, already richly employed in the life they love, then your world must reshape itself to match that assumption. Because consciousness is not a reaction to the world, it is the cause of the world. And you are the center of that cause. Many wait for permission to believe. They say, when I get the interview, I'll feel confident. When I see the paycheck, I'll feel secure. When the opportunity comes, I'll know it's real. But it doesn't work that way. The feeling must come first. The confidence must be internal before it can appear external. The success must be worn inwardly before it's ever worn outwardly. You cannot operate from maybe. You must operate from already. You are the operant power because you are the one who chooses what to believe, and the world cannot override your sustained belief. No one else is coming to give you that authority. You've had it all along. And the moment you accept it, the moment you stop waiting for circumstances to convince you and instead begin to live from conviction, everything begins to change. This is why God said, don't look for a job, because looking implies lack, searching implies separation, and hoping implies uncertainty. But the operant power doesn't search, it declares, it doesn't hope, it assumes. It doesn't wait, it creates. And how does it create? Through the disciplined use of imagination, through the quiet act of becoming the version of yourself who already has the thing you desire, and remaining loyal to that self even when the world shows no signs of it yet. And especially when the world shows no signs. Because that is the moment of true power, when you persist in belief despite appearances, when you remain unmoved by the outer and loyal to the inner. That's when the world bends. That's when unseen forces align. That's when doors open without effort, not because you forced them, but because you commanded them through the consciousness you sustained. You don't need to look for a job. You need to look within and realize you are the one generating every experience, not through chance or chaos, but through law. The law of assumption, the law of being, the law that what you assume to be true with feeling and persistence must manifest. You are not an observer of this law. You are this law in expression. You are the operant power, and once you fully know that, you will never beg again. You will never chase again. You will declare, assume, and receive, not because the world gave it to you, but because you gave it to yourself in consciousness first. And consciousness is the only power there is.